All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Kokomo's in West Haven, Franklin, Tennessee. Thanks for coming out on just a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous night. Can we get an amen on that? Amen. What a day. No lightning, no thunder yet, thank God. All right. So, the reason you're all here tonight, my name is Steve Abramowicz, by the way. I'm your host, so that's about that. I have a podcast called the Heartland Journal, and I'm blessed to have a whole bunch of you that are in this room on that show. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for coming. And so we're going to start tonight's evening with one of the owners of Kokomo. There are two, actually, and I want to thank them real quick. Lauren Johnson and Jason Tucker. Lauren's right there. Jason's right there. This place is amazing. This is where I think every Friday morning Jesus likes to hang out, because I hang out right about there. And we have a men's encouragement group, and it has just been a blessing of all blessings. And we live in a city that can do that, and it's amazing. So thanks for coming to Kokomo's. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Jason, for opening up for us. We got some dignitaries in the house, so the way these things roll, you got to say the dignity. So let's just start with the highest honor that we've got so far. We've got Andy Ogles, who is Congressman of this new District 5. Didn't used to be. I used to live 2 blocks out of his district. I'm now in his district, so he works for me. Welcome and thanks for coming. That's not really awesome. All the way from Memphis, Tennessee, we got Brent Taylor, who drove 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. Thanks for coming. Somewhere in here is Todd Warner, who is very back there. Been on the show? Been on the show? All right, just saying. There's other, where's Miller? Cindy Miller. Oh, there's Cindy Miller back there. We're running for executive committee of the Tennessee Republican Party. Yeah, that's not the Securities and Exchange Commission, that's not the Southeastern Conference, that is the SEC for Tennessee. All right. We also have Stevie Journal. I saw him earlier. There he is, right there, right next to him. Okay. Welcome. You're running for State Executive Man, all right. And his fiancée is the president of the Young Republicans of Tennessee, right? There she is right there, all right. Congratulations on your engagement. And I think we'll talk more about the man of the hour, but there's Brandon Lewis right there. So just say hi real quick. All right. If I missed anybody, I'm so sorry. But we're going to kick this off like we always do when we come to Kokomo's, with prayer and a little bit of music. And this is Jason Tucker.
You gotta sing along if you know it. All my words fall short. I got nothing new. How could I express all my gratitude? Come on, guys, let's sing. We can network after this. I could sing these songs to you as I often do. Every song must end, and you never do. I know you know the chorus. Let's sing it again. So I throw up my hands and praise you again and again. 'Cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, but I'm nothing else fit for a king, except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. I've got one response, I've got just one move, with my arms stretched wide. I throw up my hands and praise you again and again. 'Cause all that I have is a hallelujah. lift up your song. 'Cause you got a lion inside of those lungs. Get up and praise the Lord. Come on, my soul, oh, don't you get shy on me. Lift up your song. 'Cause you got a lion inside of those lungs. Get up and praise the Lord. Let's sing it again. So I throw up my hands and praise you again and again. All that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, I've nothing else fit for the King, except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah.
Check. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red flares above bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So I just got in from DC. I tried to see everybody. So I'm gonna, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna cut out and go love on my children. But I wanted to give a plug for Brandon. During COVID, there was a lot of madness. There was a lot of intrusions into our freedom and liberty. And our founding fathers warned us it was in times of crisis that liberty was most at risk. And there were a few voices in the state, I was one of them, that I refused to comply with the nonsense. But one of those voices of reason was Brandon. So please give him a round of applause. He's got a beautiful family, beautiful wife. Please support him because what he's doing is important. And without voices like his, because sometimes it's very lonely when you're the only person willing to stand up and fight. Trust me, I know. I've got a big target on my back. I've got a liberal group out of California that has nothing to do with Tennessee spending $1 million against me right now. Why? Because I'm a threat. But I will never back down in the AFLE. God bless you all.
All right. Let's hear real quick from Todd Warner, big supporter of TennesseeConservatives.com. Todd, you got a few words you'd like to say?
So thank all of y'all for coming tonight. I'm Todd Warner, currently serving the State House, representing the 92nd District, and running for the new 9th Congressional District, number 9. Brandon Lewis, Tennessee Conservative, does an outstanding job. We need to fully support him because it is the only true news source that reports on conservatives. It covers the bills that die, and a supermajority of Republicans in the State House and the State Senate when bills are killed. They covered it. 2 years ago, not this year, the year before last, they had a young lady up there covering day-to-day stuff going on in the State House. Her name was Olivia, and we definitely need them to put someone else up there. And so you really know what's going on. When a true conservative bill dies and a supermajority Republican House, Senate, and a Republican governor. I want to hit on another couple things that bother me as what I consider myself super conservative, and we are a red state. There's some issues in this state with the supermajority that we cannot get resolved. One of them is closing our primaries. It's sad in this state we have a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and we have a Republican governor, and every Democrat walks out. We have a constitutional majority, supermajority. We don't need a Democrat to pass anything. So keep that in mind when you go to the polls here, if you've already been. Do your research. See which, when we have a good bill that dies in the House or the Senate, it's not the Democrats that kills it. It's the rhinos that kill it. It's not a true conservative that's killing these conservative bills. It's not the Democrats. So keep that in mind. The Second Amendment, on our Second Amendment, true constitutional carry, makes me sick to be down there knowing that we've got the supermajority and we cannot get a true Second Amendment bill passed here in Tennessee. We got to win in court, and somebody can do a better job explaining it than what I can, but basically we got a win from a court that said, hey, it's unconstitutional, the part in the law where it talks about the intent to go armed or to carry in our state parts. That part of the bill is unconstitutional. Well, what does our Republican governor and Attorney General do? They challenge that win. Why? It was a win for conservatives, and they didn't care. They challenged it. I think they lost again. I stand to be corrected, Brandon, if I'm wrong. And another thing that happened this past session that you should know about. 15 bills, Second Amendment bills that we passed over the House that died in the Senate because the Senate chairman of the Judiciary Committee let them lay there and die. Again, this is not Democrats, folks. This is not Democrats. This is Republicans doing this. So I won't harp too much. As most of you know, I'm pretty much a straight shooting type guy, and you know where I stand on the issues. One other thing, abortion bills. Had Representative Jody Barrett brought an abortion bill this time in a committee stacked with Republicans and don't get a second out of committee. How sad is that? So thank you, Brandon Lewis. He usually covers this kind of stuff. I think there's another news outlet in Nashville that's associated with some radio station. I forget the name of it. But anyway, they won't report this true stuff when true conservative bills die. They'll make some kind of excuse. But these folks right here, the Tennessee Conservative, report the truth. And they don't mind calling out our own when they need to be called out. And that's what we got to have if we're going to call ourselves a true red state, true supermajority. We need to be getting these conservative bills passed. So thank you, Tennessee Conservative, for what you do, and I greatly appreciate you. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for everything that you did there in the assembly. Appreciate it. And he is right. He is right. The Tennessean will not cover anything like that. You know, the Memphis commercial appeal, I think is what they call it. I didn't know that until I moved here. Or the Chattanooga, what's it called?
Times Communist Press.
Times Communist Press. Yeah. Might as well watch CNN all day long. Okay, so without further ado, can't leave Memphis out of the equation, which is something I noticed when I first got here. Nobody ever talks about Memphis, which I call the Seattle of Tennessee, but not anymore. Because if you go to hashtag Make Memphis Matter, you'll see that one person did stand up and say, we're going to change this for the better. And guess what? It worked. Come on up here, buddy.
How y'all doing? Good. And look, I want to tell you, I see a lot of my friends here. Obviously, Steve is a good friend of mine. And matter of fact, you had me here at Kokomo's about a year and a half ago for the men's group. And then we went and did a podcast. And I promised you, I said, if you'll come down to Memphis, you'll be safe. And we'll get you into Graceland, and you went down to Graceland with my daughter. With your daughter, and you sent me play-by-play of everything that was going on at Graceland, and he felt safe thanks to the work we did in the General Assembly. I see my friend David Seal here. Look, David Seal. Let's give it up for David, by the way. David Seal would come to my office in the Senate, and he would have. On the surface, some of these bills will be like, David, where are you dreaming this up? But his bills are a lot like a fine wine. They get better with age. And he brings me some bills to protect against eminent domain and a whole lot of bills. And I've always been there to help to get those passed. And I see my friend Steve Hickey. Where's Steve? Way back in the back, Steve Hickey. Chairman of the Williamson County Republican Party, and Mary Smith. Is Mary still here? Mary, there you are. These are just some of my friends, Brandon, that are here, but I'm going to introduce you to one friend that I've known my entire life, and that's Jennifer Bickerstaff, sitting down front. And I've sat next to her. There you go. You can tell her fiance is really excited. So, Jennifer and I went to high school together. She's known me probably 45 years. And as you know, I'm running for office. I'm running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District. And I have kept her occupied so she doesn't talk to Todd and give any of my youthful indiscretions away. So I'm glad to see my friend Jennifer. I first learned of Brandon when I first got elected to the Senate. I was watching and following the Tennessee Conservative News, and look, what they do is incredibly important. And not only do y'all report what's going on in the General Assembly where other people want, but you also hold conservatives accountable. Many of us campaign and we say what we're going to do, and we're going to lower taxes, reduce the size and scope of government, protect the Second Amendment, and close primaries. But what happens is they get elected and those things don't happen. And it's the Tennessee Conservative News that is working hard to ensure that we're held accountable. And when legislators don't behave the way they said they would do during the campaign, Tennessee Conservative News is there to ensure that we're held accountable. Look, the reason y'all are here is very important. They have to have reporters in Cordell Hall in Nashville that are reporting and interviewing legislators about legislation. That's hard to do when you're not there in Cordell Hall. And so the fact that y'all are here supporting is critically important to their mission, and I'm glad to be here and be a part of it. Now, let me say, I am running, as I said, I'm running for Congress. 1 minute? I'm running. That's all I'm going to take. 1 more minute. I am running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District, and I would love to tell you about being endorsed by President Trump. But this evening is about Brandon and Tennessee Conservative News. And what I'd like to do, Brandon, I didn't come in empty-handed. I brought you a cap. I am working hard in this race to take Tennessee to the top, and I can't do it alone. It takes people like you and the Tennessee Conservative News, and I want to give you your very own Brent Taylor for Congress. Take Tennessee to the top cap. Thank you all very much, and thank you for your support of Tennessee Conservative News.
All right, so now the reason you're here is the Tennessee Conservative News, as you say. And so since I'm your host, I'm just going to take a second or two to shamelessly plug the reason why I'm even here on this stage at all. So about 4 years ago next month, I packed my last load of a house into my wife's car. She's right there. Thank you very much, Kara, for coming tonight. Couldn't do any of it without her. And my dog, Caroline, who, if any of you listen to my show, know as my co-pilot, was. Also, about a year ago, we lost her. But drove across country and is in a hurry to get to something that I didn't plan on ever hearing about, but it was Brandon's old Nashville-based Patriot Summit. And I got there, and I sat there, and I got to meet the man that I've been talking to for over a year, because way out in Seattle, behind the emerald curtain, communist Seattle, I learned about Tennessee through the TennesseeConservativeNews.com website. Like-minded. Little did I know, I'd be having a fundraiser for him in 2026 because it's such an important cause, and he was the only one. Who would have known, right? You come from Tennessee, out of Tennessee and you think, I'm going to move to the reddest of red states, like Todd was saying, like Brent was saying. It's all good there. Well, not in the media, it's not. I'll tell you that much right now. So, thank God for Brandon Lewis and the Tennessee Conservative News and all the staff willing to actually do this for nothing. You'll hear all about it. I'll let him tell you. But, like I said, how many people here have spent any time in your lives living in California? Yeah, that's what I would think. You wouldn't know what he's going to tell you if you didn't know Brandon Lewis. Come on.
So we would not be here tonight. I put out the clarion call for somebody to help us, for all intents and purposes, keep the lights on. And Steve was the very first to answer it. A lot of people talk about being conservative. Not a lot of people live it and do it. Thanks, Steve. Thank you. Thank you. So, sometimes, y'all know it, you live it. You go out, you volunteer, you knock on the doors, you raise the money, you try to make a difference, pushing against this massive Leviathan, which is about the best way I can describe it. You do the best you can, right? Chipping in, doing your part. Sometimes you wonder if it makes a difference. And if it weren't for just a handful of us in Tennessee watching our government, you sit down at a bar next to an architect that votes every time the polls are open. You sit next to an educated person and you ask them who their state rep is, and you ask them to tell you one thing that came out of the legislature, they can't tell you, and often they moved here for the express purpose to get away from the tyrannical government that has destroyed the state for which they came. Tennesseans take this crap for granted. And I'm just so glad that y'all are here. Thank you. I appreciate you. You know, in 2020, and Andy's gone now, they make you feel like you're crazy for reading the Constitution, for understanding a little bit about history. When they try to take away your rights, when they try to tell you one thing and do another, there's the peer pressure. There's the isolation, there's everything. You're informed, you're educated, you're involved, and they act as if you're crazy. It's like being back in political high school. We're adults. And you get out there and you make a difference. And here at the Tennessee Conservative, we've done a lot. At the very beginning, two extraordinary sessions of the legislature to do what? To undo what Republicans did to us in the damn first place. And then they take a victory lap. To keep kids at an illegal immigration center in Chattanooga where they're molested and lost to prove about Bill Lee. To get voice votes in the House so there might be some accountability after 5 years. To finally get some illegal immigration reforms 5 years after we went to the protest at Cordell Hole. Many of you that fell on deaf ears until Trump had enough, you know what, to actually embarrass them to the point where they do something that constituents have been begging for years. I'm here to tell you people in this room right now, if it weren't for the 0.0025% of you that keep up and pay attention, that are in their communities talking in the circles of the politically literate, it would be so much worse. A little bit of leaven changes the bread, and you are the leaven in the room. And I just want to say, thank you. Thank you for being here. So I don't do very well with praise or recognition. I grew up without any of it, so I decided that it would just all come from in here. Which is why sometimes I'm a little gruff and grumpy, as a rule. But boy, if you didn't have skin like a Sherman tank, you couldn't speak up against this stuff. And so when I see this kind of outpouring of support, it means a lot to me. But nonetheless, I appreciate all of you being here tonight, and I especially appreciate my friend Steve Abramowicz that's going to close it out. It's just been neat to me. I know there's not many of us in Tennessee. Let's be honest. People don't keep up. Thank you.
I want to challenge everybody to do their part.
She wants to put a $100 check in here. She wants to challenge everybody to do their part. And we're just shy of the $10,000 goal that we had set. So if you got any extra folding money or checks laying around, I'll take them. I'll put them in a wallet. If you give me cash, Jason will duly note it so we don't get pulled in front of the rhino-driven finance committee up there in Nashville like Gary Humble did to silence people that will actually speak out against rhinos. That's always my biggest concern. So if you give me 2 cents, I photocopy it, I note it, I put it in the keep, and that way if they ever come after me, I have my records. But nonetheless, I appreciate you. Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate that very much. But there's not many of us, but I'm telling you, I'll close with this and then let Steve get us out. I'm a political consultant by trade. I used to be. I don't make my money doing that anymore. I coach service businesses. But if you told me that I had to produce the effects in the legislature and the effects in the races that the Tennessee Conservative produces all across the state, and if I had to set a budget for it, and I had to hire lobbyists, and I had to run ads, and I had to do door knocking, and text messaging, and phone call to get what happens from our reporting to you all across 95 counties that actually pay attention. It's just a small number of people that chatter and talk, that are in elected representatives' ears, that are in these HCGOP and Liberty groups. If you said you've got to recreate what the Tennessee Conservative does off our little $150,000 a year budget, I don't know if we even get that. 120. Maybe. If you said the Tennessee Conservative didn't exist, you've got to create the same impact on that 120K. I'd have to spend $2 or $3 million to do it. And so when you put a little bit of money into the Tennessee Conservative, it freaking packs a wallop. It does, because we're talking to the only people in the state that keep up. And you can't do that through fake corporate lobbying. You can't do that through fake mailers. You can't do that through fake text messages, because this in this room is real. And so thank you for being real. I would like to now bring up the folks that actually make it happen. Because without these people, we couldn't do it. I got a business to run, I got a family just like you do. It's these three folks here that we're about to bring up. I'm going to ask them a handful of questions so you can get to know the people that actually make the Tennessee Conservative run, because it ain't Brandon Lewis. I'm just here to tell you. I put the money in, I try to keep it funded. That's about all I do. And I read the news, just like a talking head on TV. I'm like, I can't believe this crap. When Jason sends it to me, I'm like, this is crap. What is this? These are Republicans. What's this going on here? And so I'd like to ask Jason Vaughn, David Still, and Olivia Lupia to come up here. We got 3 stools, and you're gonna, Frank Sinatra never moved the piano. He said he refused, but y'all gonna have to move your stools over here. And I'd like to just ask them a few questions and give them a few moments to talk to you about what it's like reporting on your government each and every day. And then we'll have a couple of closing remarks. So please make the folks welcome that actually give you the news that you read, that you've told me you appreciate. Don't tell me tonight. Tell them. Make them welcome. So, I think this is an interesting question. I would like for all 3 of you, succinctly, for Jason this was easy. He'll give you a 3-word answer to a 4-minute question. Now, let me introduce them first. Jason Vaughn, if he were not here, and before I even do this, I'm a man and I'm stupid, and I have the emotional intelligence of a snail. I would like to thank my beautiful wife, who she will attest to this. This guy's pretty dumb. I think he might have been raised by wolves. She likes me anyway. If it weren't for her allowing me to waste a whole bunch of, to wisely invest a bunch of money in the Tennessee Conservative out of anger and fear and loathing during 2020, do you imagine having a wife that's like, yes, would you like to throw all this money in the trash that you'll never get back? Oh yeah, that's fine, honey. I trust your judgment. There's the woman, and she's amazing. Thank you. Anyway, Jason Vaughn, I found him. I found him, and he found me, and he probably wishes he hadn't, through like an online ad. Monster or something. And the chances of me finding somebody that could do this and adapt to it, who had, I'm going to let you tell your own story, it's like God sent. Because if it were not for him, and had I not found him, and had he not been the first person I found, it's almost like you walk up to the street and, would you like to run a conservative news publication and do most of the work? Yeah. Like the fact that I found this guy, and I don't think I interviewed anybody else. Me and Kristen went to Panera Bread, and I asked her, I said, what do you think? She has great emotional intelligence. She goes, I like him. I'm like, it's good enough for me. And so, if it had not been that weird, that you would not be here. This whole freaking thing would, I think it's a hand of God. And I'll let him tell this story, but you need to thank Jason, because he gets up about 4 in the morning that nobody ever sees, like behind the Wizard of Oz curtain. Give it up for Jason Vaughn. So, I want to ask you, how did you get into this mess? This mentally deranged mess of covering conservative state-level politics that nobody gives a damn about or pays any attention to as a reporter or a staff member. I'll let you take it away, Jason.
Well, as Brandon mentioned, I was really not involved in this at all. It was, I probably could have told you who the governor was when we started, maybe. But he called me at the exact right moment in my life for me to start doing this, COVID. COVID had happened, oh yes. And my 17-year career had ended. And I'll be honest with you, Brandon, I was desperate. I needed a job. If you had said, hey, come down to Chattanooga and be a dog walker, I would have been there because I was desperate. But I have to say that just being able to be a part of this, it's been incredibly rewarding. I know things that I never thought I'd even care to know. But we've pivoted, we've moved, we've learned a lot. And like the other speaker said, we cover things no one else does. And it's a source of pride for me that we bring you the truth every single day. If it is not 100% truthful, I refuse to publish it. It's just that's across the line. I will not do it. And I'm glad to be part of it.
So I did this to myself. So I'm one of those that Brandon and others have spoken about tonight that moved to Tennessee for the values that Tennessee advertises itself with. And then you get here and you go, excuse me? I was very connected in Colorado, that's where I'm from, or Eastern California as it's now known. And ran for office there, very connected, very involved with the Republican Party. Moved to Tennessee and said, well, obviously my job is to get involved. I'm here to be, your reinforcement. I'm not one of those blue people that leaves a blue state and then comes and votes blue. That's silly. But got involved with my local GOP in Montgomery County and was like, all right, what do we do? How do we get in? And I ended up being elected vice chair of the entire party in a landslide. God literally told me when I walked in the room that night, you need to run. And I said, okay, I don't want to do this. I thought it was going to be great because I was going to get all the credit for being obedient, and I figured there was no way I was going to win. So that did not work out for me the way I thought it needed to work out. So spent about 18 months there being the only actual conservative in the entire Republican Party of Montgomery County, to the point where they actually kicked me out. So yes, it threatened to bring a lawsuit. I had to potentially go get a restraining order because they made threats against my person, all that stuff. And so I've been following Tennessee conservative news basically since the moment I got here, because it was the only conservative news media that I could find in the entire state, which was shocking to me. To move to a red state and have one reliable outlet that I knew was doing the job. So I had met Brandon at a couple of rallies and a couple of things and said, hey, this is what's happening to me. Are you interested in this? He said, yeah. So we wrote it up and I left it and I said, hey, if there's any way that I could possibly be of service to this organization, because what you're doing is so important and I believe so thoroughly in this mission, please let me know. And it was a few months later, I think, and Jason called me up one day and said, hey, would you like a job? And I said, super. And here we are. And I've never looked back and never thought that this is what I would be doing. I've shared this with some of you, but I'm a professionally trained singer and actress. That's what I was doing with my life. I went to conservatory school in Los Angeles and New York, so I've lived in both Sodom and Gomorrah. I had an agent. I was doing work for HBO, and then COVID happened, and everything changes. And when God decides to move in your life, you just gotta hold on. You just hold on, and you say, "Here I am," and you go where He sends you. And here He sent me, and I'm so grateful. Best job I've ever had, the best team I've ever had, the opportunity to do something that makes a difference. And like Brandon said, sometimes we feel like we're just beating our heads against the wall, and there are days where I have to very proactively try not to throw my computer through the window after watching bill after bill after bill get killed, or rhino after rhino after rhino do something that they know they shouldn't be doing. But it matters, it's worthwhile, and I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you, because you guys are what helps us make it happen. So I'm grateful for you guys being here as much as I am to be the one behind the screen pumping out those articles for you guys. So thank you.
Thanks, Olivia. I was pinned down during COVID. I was just reading articles. I had just retired from 32 years of teaching at Jefferson County High School, and I thought, wow, this is a really cool newspaper. Of course, it was a Tennessee Conservative. They just happened to run a story about some of the woke surveys they were giving our kids in our county. I'll give you a couple of questions. Do you have any relatives that are in prison? Do you go to church? Are you getting medical care? Those were the type of questions that I was getting, and I went and read them to the Jefferson County School Board. It wasn't too long until an article came out in the Tennessee Conservative that showed those questions and what they were doing with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So I kind of dug in and contributed a few stories, and they kind of warmed up to me and thought maybe I was on the right path. And in, I think it was 2 years ago, if you recall, a case, TWRA versus Rainwaters, they were putting surveillance cameras on private property without a warrant. And that was the first article that I put in the Tennessee Conservative. I think it was 2 years ago. Maybe I stand corrected on that. But I'll behave myself, and that's kind of how I got into it. And it's been downhill ever since. And we get paid for having fun. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
So, what I will prefer, I'm going to ask them what they're hopeful about, because this establishment actually has to make money after 7, and it's 7:39.
Your time.
6:39, sorry, we're going to close it up by 7. If you'd always keep it on Eastern time, even if I'm in California, because that's God's time. So, we have seen, I'm going to preface this, here's what I've seen from the Tennessee Conservative that I think is very positive. There's a few things. We have made it more expensive for rhinos to vote negative in their committees. It draws out challengers. Every time they hit a bad vote, it's like it's ammunition for whoever wants to run against them. And so there's only so much of that they will do. That's one of the first things that I've seen. And I've actually seen a handful, not many, of lawmakers that have actually kind of become quasi-conservative just from our reporting, because they don't like what's happening. They've seen things in their district, and that's been huge. Like, some people have actually opened their ears because it's better to be feared than to be loved in politics. And I've seen some of the things that we started on, Jason, 6 years ago, and I thought, this will never pass. 6 years later, it passes. It's a long game. It's a tiring game. So, and I've watched some conservatives, like Michelle Renaud, defeat like the second or third most powerful person in the House. I've seen some things turn over, which has been great. And it like kind of, it ain't big, but it puts people on notice that, hey, you could be beat because of your bad voting record. I do truly believe, after beating them up for 5 or 6 years, that we will probably close the primaries next year. Like, I'm kind of hopeful. I'm kind of hopeful. I think after a while, like, it's hard to sell back in your district. It's remarkably, I'm going to go with the Democrats to select the Republicans. That's hard to sell. There were 900 votes in Michelle's race last time. She won by 135. She ran by 1135 if that hadn't happened. I've looked at the numbers. You just pull an Excel sheet. It's very easy if you run campaigns to see it. So what I want to close with, so these proprietors can sell more booze to other people, is that what are you hopeful about? Because I want to leave these people with some hope that we can change things. What has given you a sense of hope, and what do you think that might change in the legislative session? I'll say a few words and then we'll close it up. I'll start with you, David.
Well, thanks, Brandon. I'll add something to what Brandon said. There's been school board decisions that I've seen kind of hinge on some of the reporting that we've done. And that happened last year, and one of the school board members had quoted one of the traffic numbers that we had put out on the story of the week, so to speak. And he said, that was the story of the week. You need to pay attention to this, and we got some changes made. Another thing that Jefferson County was doing, they were not allowing our students to wear a military tassel on their cap when they were recruited by the military. In the graduation ceremony, they would not let them wear that full 6-inch ribbon on their hat. And we fought that and fought it and fought it for 2 years. Our paper hammered it and hammered it and hammered it. Finally, we got it done. We got a new set of people. And now it's turned out to be such a good thing that now the schools purchase a stole for the students to wear when they graduate with Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard. So you see things like that in addition to the state legislation. I'll name one particular piece of legislation and I'll let Olivia have it. In 2019, Senator Frank Nicely and I hammered a bill and hammered it and hammered it and hammered it and hammered it. And finally, after 4 years of getting turned down in committee, this newspaper published stories about it. We hammered it too, hammered it in the other direction. We finally got a housing authority bill passed that says basically, and I give credit to Senator Taylor here. He mentioned that I worked with eminent domain quite a bit. The bill basically said to a housing authority, you can't take the whole neighborhood because one house is blighted. We got that bill passed after 4 years of effort and I'd have to say, since Senator Bowling's legislative aide is here, her office had a lot to do with it as well, and I really appreciate Senator Janice Bowling. So with that, here's Olivia.
Thank you. So I see hope in two areas that I've been excited about. Is the first is we are seeing increased accountability from legislators. So in two ways. The first that I find really encouraging is the relationships that each one of us have really built with a different sect of legislators. Now there's some crossover, like we all know Brent, we all know Todd, we love them, we appreciate them. But when we can go to each other and say, hey, does someone know so-and-so, or can we talk to so-and-so's office, get this, that, to get the truth, to get the quote, to ask them what's really going on. So to have those relationships out there be flourishing, that not only we can count on our legislators to be communicative with us, that's really important, because I need to know that I can talk to Todd and he's going to give it to me straight, that I can talk to Brent and that he can walk me through things that I may not have seen, or I'm watching literally 15, 16 bills all at the same time someday and I might miss something. So that's really important. On the flip side, which I do consider a plus, I get a lot of nasty emails from legislators, but that's good. It's good because it means we matter and they're watching. And it means when I get an email that says, I demand you retract this, this isn't what really happened, I don't think you should have said blah, blah, blah. It tells me that I have your attention. And it tells me that you're feeling the pressure. So I take a lot of hope from that. It's slow, it's slow work, it's laborious work, it's tedious work, and it is a lot of effort to build those relationships. Especially, like Todd mentioned, we will call you out. We may have a good relationship, but that doesn't stop us from calling you out when you've done something that is anti-conservative or is not living up to what you say you're supposed to be doing. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is to see the engagement that you guys are bringing, that we will put something out and then we will get these pockets of activity that is phenomenal. Things will spread like wildfire, and you guys are the ones that put the pressure, all right, on the committee members to do or not do something. And I will say what I saw, just a specific legislative example this past session, and Todd mentioned this briefly, but the abortion bill brought by Jody Barrett. And we saw that there's no other way to say it, slaughtered by cowardly Republicans who aren't willing to have a conversation to give preborn babies the same protections as born people have. And there was so much media misinformation circulating around that. It was unbelievable. It was probably the most disinformation, anti-smear campaign I saw out of any piece of legislation this session. But the point is, it made national news. It made national news because people in Tennessee started calling their representatives and calling them out after the fact. There are billboards now, I've seen all over the state, propping up against, or campaigning against representatives who were on that committee, on that issue alone. And that happens because people like us will tell the truth. So that's hope. Again, we have a lot of disappointments, but there are a lot of encouraging things, even when we don't get the desired outcome we want on the first try. So don't quit. When we send you those action alerts, particularly during the session, please call and email your legislators because it works. I promise you it works. So that's super encouraging for me.
Todd Warner, I owe you an apology. You were one of the supporters of that housing authority bill, and I apologize for not mentioning you when I put it in there. We got it passed in both the House and Senate, and Todd was part of that. Thank you so much.
Okay, so last session was starting out so great. Oh man. And I was thinking, gosh, when I put the Rhino report together, I'm not going to have any material to work with. It's going to just be this guy, this great thing, that guy did that great thing. You know, basically just the conservative awards part of it. Well, by the end of the session, all that changed. So, you guys will have a nice Rhino report this year, later on. But, okay, so, just as we do every year, Brandon and I have had conversations about the Tennessee conservative might not make it. You know, we might not see another session. And what are we going to do, you know? And I mean, thinking, what happens if the Tennessee conservative goes away? What, with us being the only ones that are doing what we do, what's going to happen?
Rhinos will celebrate, and they'll have a big dinner.
He's right, probably. But there's no one else. There's no one else to do this. So what I'm mostly hopeful for, because as I said, we're playing the long game here. This is not something we can let down our guard about. This is not something we can stop doing for a while and then come back. We need to be at this constantly every year. And I'm hopeful that we can continue to do it. That's what I'm hopeful for. And all you guys are making that possible. Appreciate you being here so much. And hope there's a lot more like you in the state. Keep us going. Appreciate it.
Guys, give him a big round of applause. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything out here. It's just nice. Like, we're basically a little confederacy of conservatives. This in this room is real. And so thank you for being real. And I'll be real with you now and tell you I appreciate you very much. Steve, close us out.
All right. Well, I'm gonna make this one really easy for y'all. Brandon is 100% donor supported. What that means in my business, media-esque, I guess, is you don't donate, it goes away. Unlike PBS, who will ask you every 5 minutes for donations, they don't need it. They get it from the federal government, us, taxpayers. Tennessean doesn't need it. They'll take Titans NFL money. But that also means that they have to take corporate instructions as to what they're going to report. Good luck hearing about concussions from the NFL, right? So, without conservative news, you, the taxpayer, the citizen, the voter, are an uninformed voter. Let's just face it, you're not going to get the information anywhere else. So, why do we have apathy in Tennessee? Like you shouldn't, because they all believe a Republican's going to be in office, it's all fine. Well, if you listen to Olivia, it's not all fine. Not all Republicans are conservative. That's the myth. Ronald Reagan might have been, but the rest of them, ever since, not so much, especially in Tennessee. So, my podcast is free as well. But I want to give you something, not just a free dinner, not just a pitch to give some money that you have folded up in your couch. You know, if you want to double it, fold it in half. But I want to give you something that I can, which isn't much, but I want to pray for you. And I'm actually going to have somebody, probably the greatest prayer warrior I know, come up and do it for me, for you. Brian Russell, amazing man. You could see him praying just about every night on Main Street here. A lot of the reasons why tornadoes haven't ripped this town apart is probably because he's asked God not to do that to us. So come on up here and pray us out of here. And of course, if y'all have some extra cash available, please donate to the Tennessee Conservative News so they can have another couple years to keep these amazing journalists in business. Because like he said, without them, you'll be less informed in the next campaign. All right? Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Brandon. So, this is very important what we're doing here tonight. It's all important, it all matters, and what they do matters. You know, in the ministry, there's a couple things. Luke 12:48 says, from everyone who's been given much, much will be required. And from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. Well, a lot of times as leaders in the Christian community, the church community, a lot of Christians vote for leaders and they get in there making promises and they don't hold them up. And as people like the Tennessean Conservative hold them accountable, and we need to do that. We need to hold them accountable. We need to pray for them on a regular basis. We had an event here back when the last presidential election, and I asked people to pray for President Biden, and people got upset. But we're to pray for our leaders. We need to continue to pray for Donald Trump. We need to continue to pray for our local leaders. They deal with a lot. There's temptation around every corner. A lot of decisions that they have to make, so we continue to pray for them. Proverbs 16:12 says, it's an abomination to kings to commit wickedness, for the throne is established by righteousness. We may not have any kings, but we have people that are leading. But there are local leaders, our state leaders, our federal leaders. So we need to continue to encourage them in that. And then guys, I just want to end in prayer. We need to pray tonight that our leaders will lead with integrity and righteousness. That we will pray for our leaders and hold them accountable. When I say hold them accountable, I don't mean yelling at them and getting nasty and tell them off. But hold them accountable to what they said they're going to do. Like you would a brother or sister. Like you would a mom or a dad. But hold them accountable in love. But hold them accountable. And then we want to pray for Brandon and the Tennessee Conservative. And I'll end with this scripture and then we'll pray. He hath shown thee, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of thee, but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Heavenly Father, we just thank you tonight for this opportunity to meet, to come before you, to seek your face. We thank you that we heard what the Tennessee Conservative is doing, and we see the power and the influence that they have. Not only as an organization do they have power and influence, but every person in this room has power and influence. We've all been given special talents and abilities. God, we've been put here for such a time as this. God, show us what we need to do to continue to live in a free state. Show us what we need to do to continue to live in a country where we can pray and seek your face and where we can be free to operate in liberty. And Lord, I pray for every one of our leaders that you would touch them and you would bless them. That you would give them wisdom in the decisions that they're making. Lord, if they're making or about to make wrong decisions, please convict them. Don't let them sleep until they make the right decision. Lord, I pray protection around them and protection around their families. I pray for their marriages. And Lord, we pray for every person in this room that you would help us to make right decisions as we vote, that we'd make informed decisions. And Lord, I pray for the Tennessee Conservative that you would bless them, that the finances would come in to continue doing what they're doing, that they would continue to speak truth, continue to speak light into this great state of Tennessee. We just give you glory and honor and praise for all that you do, all that you're doing and all that you're going to do. In Jesus' name. Lord bless you, Lord keep you, and God bless the great state of Tennessee.